Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, February 11th, 2025, 5:30-ish p.m. And with a quorum of members present, I'm going to call the Finance Committee to order. Item number one on our agenda is minutes of the previous meeting. That's from January 1st, 2025. Do you have any discussion? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion. Motion from Gisselman, second from Tierney. Any discussion? Not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That carries. We're going to swap these next two agenda items so that Rick Rubo can get to another meeting he has at 6 o'clock. So we're going to move on to what's listed as item number 3, discussion and possible action to approve the adjusted City of Wausau part-time, temporary, and seasonal wage rates. And this item went through HR committee yesterday. It is an adjustment of wages for the part-time seasonal employees for public access, the police, and DPW. We do have Rick here, our interim HR director, and also the Dustin from DPW, if anybody's got any questions on these rates. Alder Tierney? Okay. A motion from Tierney?
A second.
Second from Henke. And I think, I wanted to make one little comment on the economic part of this, or the budgetary part of this, is that Marianne, I believe you said yesterday this would not require a budget modification because the line item for the total amount of money spent on seasonal wages will stay the same.
Yes.
But they'll just have less contracted hours.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's good. So, not hearing any other questions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that carries. What's listed as item number 2, discussion and possible action regarding budget modification for airport hangar door engineering. There was a memo in our packet. I know we got Eric here to fill us in, give us any other information on this.
Yeah, I tried to summarize in the memo the best I could between Leo and what John has. John's here if you have any operational, questions or anything like that. But really, the door needs some adjustment, and then the framework around that door needs some reinforcement. So the first step in doing that would be to get some engineering plans put together and stamped by a professional engineer, structural, in order to bid out a project to actually get that work done. And so what's before you tonight is really about the $25,000, which it would cost to get the engineering plans put together so that we could bid a project and get that work done. So we don't have any more damage to that door.
Okay, I guess my question is which building is hangar 4? Is that the one that we just replaced the door on, or is that one of the different hangars?
I'll let the experts talk about it.
Wow, expert, huh? Well, at least I'm your local expert. This is hangar 4, which is the hangar that is the furthest most east on the apron. It is not the new door. It's the door that was replaced probably, I'm guessing, 12 years ago. Seems like yesterday, but I think it was 12 years ago. Might be a little less. Anyway, it's also the building that houses the 2 most used jets at the airport that flow the most fuel, and it's also the temporary location of Wausau Flying Service while the terminal's being refurbished.
Okay. Is that the door is that the hangar that the Aspirus Medevac used to operate out of?
That's correct.
Okay, I know which hangar you're talking about now.
Yep.
Okay. Any discussion on this?
Go ahead.
I just have a question. So the 24.5 is just for the engineering, not the cost of the project at all? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Mary Ann?
I was just going to add, so we were trying to figure out if there was a place that we would be able to transfer the money from. And we were not able at this point to identify a source of funds. It's early, still in the closeout of the 2024 year. We're still waiting on some engineering December bills. So this would be basically considered coming from reserves.
Okay, at this point in time?
Yes.
Okay. Alder Hinkie?
Thank you. Would the plan be then to budget, like, get, the engineering drawings would help get a cost together probably for budgeting to actually replace it next year?
Yeah, we'd actually use those drawings and that scope of work to bid the work out to a contractor that would come in and do the work.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
All right, any other discussion?
Move to approve.
Okay, a motion from Gisselman,
A second?
second from Hinkie. Discussion? Not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? That carries. Okay, item number 4. Discussion and possible action approving the North 4th Street, Franklin Street, and McIndoe's parking improvements in the TID 3 amendment. We were talking about TID amendments in our last meeting, and at that time, we opted to not include this work in those amendments. So this item is back for us with more thorough information of what has been discussed previously about this project. So Eric's here if anybody's got any questions.
Yeah, I guess at the last meeting, since this was passed in the budget, I wasn't really prepared that there'd be any kind of as many questions as there were on it. So we put together the history of this project and kind of how it evolved over the past year. From everything from when the YMCA, the petitioners, asked to take down the building at 404 Franklin Street. And after the Plan Commission, they pulled their petition as staff was asked to work with the YMCA on some different options, for their project to go forward as well, and other parking improvements for the area. Staff worked with them on that. We did come up with this plan. In order for that plan to work, the YMCA had to give up property from 404 Franklin. So that project came back in full to both the Infrastructure Committee, came through Plan Commission, and then through Council for the right-of-way dedication for that project. And this project was also approved by the Infrastructure Committee to move forward as well, which is why it was put in the budget for the council's consideration and ultimately approval. So, and that's typically how our projects progress. We'll get our infrastructure projects and stuff approved through infrastructure, but that really kind of gives us the go-ahead to move things through the budget process, which then goes obviously through finance and then city council. So, and that's really how our procurement policy is laid out as well, right? Like, so once a project is budgeted, as long as we stay within that budget, that project just moves forward. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm kind of glad we've got this extra information here because I think we kind of lost sight of the whole timeline of what was discussed this last year, especially with, starting with saving the church at 404 Franklin Street and then the talk in infrastructure and the rededication and the dedication of the land around that block at Franklin and Fourth for this parking. So, Alder Hinkie?
Thank you. So this project is going to happen this year.
Well,
If we don't fund it with this TID,
right, then there'd have to be another funding source, right?
Okay, yeah.
And the reason, is because it was presented in the budget for consideration in the TID, in TID 3 as a project, right? And so, as that was discussed through the finance budget sessions and then went on to council, that was approved, right? So, that's where we move forward with the project. We basically have that project designed and ready to bid.
yeah, and I'm glad
Yeah.
to see the minutes from infrastructure.
Yeah.
I thought I was chairing at that time, and it turns out it was my first one. So.
Right, yeah, I was gonna say, it's pretty, right around that time,
Yep.
so, yeah.
All right, thank you. That's all I had.
Eric?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hi, thanks.
Hi.
I would really like to get a letter of a commitment from the Y on their half before I would be willing to throw in my
Sure.
you-rah-rah. I just, if they're willing to do it, I'd really prefer to have that in writing so that we're not on the hook for some reason at the end of this, because then I'd want to see an adjustment made on that project list on the TID too, so that we could take that down a little bit.
Okay.
So I'd really like that letter of commitment from them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Do you want to talk at all on that, Brian?
We do have Brian, I see Brian Bailey here from the YMCA, if anybody has any questions too from,
So I can start with a verbal commitment and get you in writing right away tomorrow on that. Our board is committed to the fees for it, as we met with the city a number of months back. But yeah, we're fully committed to fund half the project.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, I think, typically how this would go then is, Mary Ann, correct me if I'm wrong, but then, the TID amendment then would be presented back to the Finance Committee and the City Council. So with the YMCA, what you heard tonight, we'll have that letter with that TID amendment then. Yep.
any other discussion? Alder Gisselman?
Well, I have a question. Why did, since the park department worked, the forester, why was and the intrusion into Yawkey Park, why didn't this go to I would think the park committee should have, since it involves the park, since it involves Yawkey Park, and the deforestation of the trees specifically along 4th Street, why didn't it go to the park committee?
I couldn't answer that. I just know it was presented at the infrastructure committee, so, yeah.
Because that continual erosion of Yawkey Park, specifically, and we have all agreed to the YMCA coming in into that parts of Yawkey Park from the north, but now this is really, I really question the intrusion of the streetscape into Yawkey Park. I wish there would have been some other way of providing the necessary parking for the Y, but I think I question this intrusion. The Yawkey Park keeps getting smaller and smaller.
I get, the one thing I'd like to clarify is that we're working within our right-of-way, right? So we're not taking any park property. What's happening is the sidewalk right now is in the city right-of-way. That will be moved into the park. So it will follow the edge of the park,
So
right?
but the sidewalk then becomes part of the park.
The
then.
park, the parking. Yeah, right. So then the new sidewalk will be within the park boundaries. Yes. Yep.
Well, I still question that.
Understand,
Okay, Alder Tierney?
Thank you. I do have one more comment that you heard, but since person from the Y is here as well, I don't feel that parking is needed at this time or necessary at this time. I think for the landing, putting the skywalk in, we were showing our willingness to help them stay out of the weather. As I said, I have been through the Y parking lots morning, afternoon, evening, weekdays, weekends. I've taken pictures. That parking lot has never been full at any point in time when I went through and took pictures. So I, again, don't feel that right at this particular point in time it's necessary. But I will do whatever my constituents wish, but, or my fellow alders wish. But again, I fail to see the need at this time. Thank you.
All right, Alder Gissman.
At this point in time, I'll support it, but I reserve my, your point about, I still feel that there's some questions that I have to resolve in my head before, so I reserve my, this will go to the city council at some point, right?
The TID amendment, the entire TID amendment will have to go to the city council, so that would be.
And if if finance wants, you could send the project along with the cost-sharing arrangement to council for consideration at the next meeting. You'll then know exactly how council feels about it as a separate item, because the project plan won't come to council until, mid to end of March. March 18th was on the calendar of events when we were looking at the TID plan, and that would, I guess, clear things up, and it would kind of clear it up for the amendment too. Like, we'll know either that we can put it in there or we can't put it in there. That's just
So we could move this ahead to council for the 25th,
However,
20, yeah, whatever. that is,
whenever the next,
25th,
whenever the,
If you wanted to.
yeah, and we, at that point, we would have the cost-sharing letter
Yep.
and other,
Right.
yeah. And then the rest of the TID amendment would come through in March.
Right, and that would be part of
And
that
that
amendment.
would be part of that amendment.
Because by law, we would have to follow the statutory process for the TID amendment.
Yeah, does that make sense? Does that kind of allay concerns?
I do have a question on a different amendment on the TID, but not Eric's, so.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know, we don't really have the other amendments on the agenda, though, so, yeah, just this particular one.
the reason thank you, the reason some cautionary note is that Yawkey Park throughout recent history has a lot of followers in this community. And I just want to get a sense of that. That's why but I will support it at this time. I don't like intrusions. I understand Eric's point. I get that about the sidewalk and public act. I get that. But the deforestation, as the park forester noted, the tree impact is pretty hefty, and I'm concerned about that. But that's my point of view today. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Not hearing any other discussion, I guess I'll accept a motion to move this item ahead to council, so.
So moved.
All right, motion from Hinkie, second.
I'll second.
Second from Gisselman. Any other discussion? Not hearing anything. And then this would appear on the second February council meeting, so that we can take it up separately from the rest of the plan amendments. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, when it carries, Tierney, nay. So, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 5 is a closed session item, so we will, do I have somebody to read that? I see you smiling.
Yeah,
Hilda.
I'll move, we go into closed session pursuant to Chapter 19.185, Sub 1, Sub E of the Wisconsin statutes for deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business. Whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session relating to approval of purchase and assembling of properties along the West River front for the relocation of the Public Works Garage and pedestrian trail acquisition.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Gisselman. This requires a roll call vote. So Gisselman,
Yes.
Tierney,
Yes,
Hinkie,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. We will go into closed session. If we have any action on this item, we will reconvene into open. Otherwise, we will adjourn in closed. Thank you.